Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I am of course Hot Dogs and we are here to continue on with my American Horror Story series where I recreate a new season of American Horror Story, and today we are going to be doing Coven. Now, I know that this season is a lot of people's favorite season of American Horror Story. Gotta say, it's not my favorite. There are a lot of elements that I really like about it. One being the house itself. I've actually been to that house when I went down to New Orleans. I went to the house, I saw it. They were actually filming something there at the time. It was an American Horror Story. I don't know what it was. It wasn't close enough to Apocalypse, and it was already after Coven, so I'm not too sure what they were filming there, but that was actually pretty cool to see though. And there's a lot of like really cool elements that are like real life American Horror Stories, which they kind of fade away from throughout a lot of the series. So yeah, there's elements that I like about this. Obviously all the girls are really fun and stuff like that, but when it comes to the plot and the script of this season, I'm not a fan. But we'll get more into that as this episode goes on. As you see, I have made the academy itself, and I've placed it in Willow Creek as it's the most similar to New Orleans. And I actually like that I placed it beside the Goth Manor, so that way there's this like all white building next to this all black building, and they look really cool beside each other. Alright, so this is one of the smaller builds that I have. It's only 2 floors plus a basement. We're going to focus on the first floor for right now. It's mainly just the hallway and the grand staircase. And then we have the formal living room, the formal dining room, Cordelia's office, the kitchen, and the dining room. That's all on the first floor. And again, I built this before the window or the stairs update, so the stairs aren't as grand and as accurate as I would like them to be. I love that the series had like angel wing stairs. I thought that was really cool, but I wasn't able to do that on this build, sadly. And of course, while I'm getting into it, naturally, there's another fire. Who's surprised at all? Spalding has lit a fire in one of the bedrooms upstairs, and it's caught him on fire, and they're all freaking out. And instead of using any magic to actually put out the fire, they just use fire extinguishers and stuff. I feel like when you make someone a like wizard or whatever, they should automatically like autonomously start using their spells and stuff for things like that. Otherwise, I always forget they're even a spellcaster. But of course, when it comes to Spalding, he is not a spellcaster. He's the only one in this lot that is not a spellcaster. Instead, he's just a creepy old man. He's mainly dressed in suits and stuff as he is the butler of the house. Of course, all of his traits are like that he enjoys cleaning and stuff like that. So he will be mainly doing that around the house when you play with this lot and this group of Sims. I think Spalding is really cool. I wish he was more of like a villain, more of a character than he actually is. They kind of make him creepy every now and then just kind of pass it on, which is a lot of the season. They start things and then don't finish them. So I wish I could have saw more of him. I liked his character. And of course, even though the fire is already out and they saw that the fire is out, all the girls still have to overreact. They react way too long to fires. They're running outside. All the students are outside freaking out, screaming at the gates. Meanwhile, all the adults are still in the building, not caring at all because they're mature and they know the fire's out already. So that's really annoying. Once I get them, to calm down, they'll come back in the house eventually. Meanwhile, Cordelia, who is the headmistress of the academy, is busy inside making herself a grilled cheese. Her priorities are aligned, and she knows what's up. She's like, I'm hungry. Why don't you girls stop freaking out and just enjoy some cheese and bread? And this gives us a chance to look at the kitchen and the dining room. Everything's all white. I love that even though everything is all white and gold, there is touches of dark brown wood and stuff like that as well. I think it really like warms the place up a little bit. It doesn't look so stark as much, I guess. And then, of course, the other girls end up coming inside eventually, and most of them head their way downstairs to the basement. So there's 2 ways to get to the basement. You can either get there from the back of the kitchen, or you can actually get there from the backyard. The basement is kind of where a lot of the potion making goes down. It's kind of Cordelia's little area. So there's a greenhouse where they can grow plants and stuff that they need to use for potions. And then there's, a computer. There's areas for them to look stuff up, books and stuff like that. And then, of course, there's a big, huge cauldron for them to make things, like a big pot of mac and cheese. But yeah, it looks like Cordelia has gone and she's just standing at the outside door of the basement. It's the only other way in and outside the house apart from there's like a back door and there's a front door and then there's the basement door. So she's just standing at the basement door for no reason, just eating her grilled cheese there. Meanwhile, Madison is practicing making potions and stuff. Nan comes to visit. All the girls are kind of walking around. I think after the fire, none of them really know what they want to do. So they're all just kind of walking around being weird, being annoying. All right, I'm going to give you some more extra shots of like the greenhouse and stuff like that that's in the basement before we head back upstairs and show you the rest of the house. So when we do end up going upstairs, the first room I'm going to go back and show you is the dining room. I don't mind the dining room at all. However, I do have an issue that in Apocalypse, the only set of the academy they built was the dining room, and they like moved the staircase so it was like behind the dining room in that series. And it wasn't the same staircase, and they just only stayed in that dining room because they didn't build any other rooms for the academy. And I just thought it was really lazy and cheap. I was like, girl, we know that they have a whole house. Why are they only hanging out in this one small dining room? It's because you don't want to build the rest of the set, but whatever. And then across the hall from the dining room, we have the formal living room, which I love this room. I love all the picture frames and pictures and paintings hanging up on all the walls. It was fun to cover them up with any kind of female painting I could find. Everything's really ornate and beautiful and elegant. And Cordelia is actually in there practicing playing the piano. And while she's playing the piano, I thought now would be a good time for us to look through her Create-A-Sim. So a lot of the girls that are at the academy, I mainly dressed in all black, but Cordelia is kind of one of the only ones that I mainly put in all white. Almost all of her clothes are just white. It kind of is to represent her character of being like pure and loving and motherly. And that's kind of what I decided to go with her. However, looking back, I totally should have like made her eyes white or gave her like a face scar around her eyes or something. I should have emphasized that. That way you could remember her stabbing herself in the eyeballs and pulling them out. That was crazy and stupid. But yeah, I should have done that, I guess. Instead of making her kind of look perfect, she should definitely have some scars on her face. But I forgot. You can do that yourself, I guess. And so she's just playing in the living room. I give you some more extra shots of the living room just to kind of show that off. I think this is actually, besides the basement maybe, this is my favorite room in the house for sure. All right, and before we head upstairs, we got one more room on the first floor, and that would be Cordelia's office. So it's actually opposite the living room and the kitchen. It's in the far corner, and it's pretty basic. There's nothing too much in there apart from like a spell book, her desk, a few chairs, her diplomas, a bookshelf I think is in there, and that's pretty much it. None of them ever hang out in there. So there's nothing really to do in there, but I decided, I'd go ahead, I'd make it accurate, I'd give her an office as she is the headmistress of this academy. All right, and then we're going to head upstairs and take a look at that. When you immediately head up the stairs, you have this nice entryway full of like potions and books and stuff like that. And then of course, the long hallway that we have on the first floor, we also have on the second floor, but it's leading to all the bedrooms and bathrooms. So all the bedrooms and all the bathrooms are on the second floor of this house. So this is a 5-bedroom, 4-bathroom house. So the 5 bedrooms, we have one dorm room, which I'm showing you now, which most of the girls sleep in. Then we have another dorm room with a few other beds. And then we have Cordelia's bedroom, and then we have her mom's bedroom, and lastly, Spalding's bedroom. So there's 5 bedrooms, and then almost all of them have their own bathroom apart from Spalding. And those 2 main bathrooms on this floor are gigantic. They're huge. You could throw a party in these bathrooms. Like, they have their own fireplaces, and like, they're just gigantic. And before I could really get into Fiona, that was who I was going to go to next and show off her room, there is, of course, fire number 2, also started by Spalding in the kitchen. He seemed to be making himself some food on the oven, and then now the oven is just engulfed with flames. All the girls are of course no help whatsoever, and the only ones that actually do something are Cordelia and Fiona. Big surprise. So yeah, that's my second fire. I'm wondering how many more I can fit into this 30 minutes of gameplay. It's ridiculous, honestly. I think this keeps happening to me because I keep making the lots like cursed and have bugs and stuff like that. All the lots that you're going to download in this series all have lot traits because I love lot traits. People that don't use them, why? What's going up with that? They're great. So once the fire is put out, all the girls kind of go back to doing their own thing. Cordelia goes outside and starts practicing magic, and it's our first little glimpse of magic in this gameplay, as I find that most wizards don't naturally perform it on their own. Don't know what that's about. But now we're going to follow Nan as she goes upstairs and is creeping around through Spalding's bedroom. So Spalding room is really weird. It's full of toys and dolls and baby holders and stuff like that. So a lot of them end up going in there and just staring at all the objects in there. So that's pretty much what Nan is doing. Meanwhile, while she's doing that, Spalding just casually goes to his bed and starts self-woohooing himself. She pays no attention whatsoever that he's just getting it on under the covers over there. And even what's Madison Montgomery's character, who's my favorite of this season, I'm pretty sure, Emma Roberts' character, she even comes in, starts talking to Nan. They're both looking at objects, and neither of them pay any attention to Spalding self-woohooing behind them. They just have no clue that's going on, I guess. Alright, now originally I was going to show off Fiona in her room before the second fire happened. It looks as though Fiona has went back to try to use the bathroom. That was like her original plan when she got up. Didn't go that way, obviously. Of course, she's in that huge bathroom I was talking about, and once she's done, she actually starts practicing spell casting on the second floor balcony, like entryway area. I don't know what that's called. But she's the only other one apart from Cordelia that's practicing magic. Of course, I mentioned that earlier, that it's not really a surprise that them two are the ones doing it, but all these girls in this lot are just annoying. They're annoying me. Alright, when it comes to everyone else, it looks like Spalding is back in the kitchen. I think he might be a little bit too afraid to continue making himself food on the oven, so he's just settled to making himself a bowl of cereal and is content with that. And then he sadly heads upstairs. I don't know why he's so gloomy, maybe because he keeps messing everything up. I'd be sad too, I guess, if I was the only non-spellcaster in a house, but whatever. He heads back upstairs to his room where Nan is still hanging out, and he ends up talking to her and starting a conversation finally instead of just self-woohooing behind her back. So that's kind of going a little bit more normal than it was before. And oop, I said Nan, but I meant Madison. I knew that Nan was like in one of the clips that I was talking over, but I messed that up. And I don't feel like deleting it and re-recording, so I'm gonna just leave that mistake in there. But I was actually talking about Madison Montgomery, who is my favorite character in Coven. Emma Roberts plays that character really well, mainly because I think Emma Roberts can't play any other character apart from herself. And Emma Roberts herself is an annoying catty bitch. So whenever she plays those characters, it's done really well, like in Scream Queens when she does Madison Montgomery. I think that's the reason Ryan Murphy and everyone else kind of keeps bringing her back, because I can't imagine that she's great on the set to have around. I can't picture that whatsoever. But she's amazing at being her true self on camera. A fucking bitch. When it came to her clothes, I mainly tried to put her in, of course, all the sexy black outfits, but I also threw in a lot of pink and stuff like that, as I felt like it kind of matched her personality a little bit. Just like a spoiled rich girl, I automatically think of pink. I don't know. But she's just in there talking to Spalding. Nothing really happens. I think mostly everyone's just in there trying to cheer him up. But it's not going too well. But once Spalding leaves the room, we find Fiona still up there on that entryway doing magic, practicing it. And I did Fiona and Jessica Lange so dirty here. I don't know. Like, okay, once she's practicing magic, she lights herself on fire. That's great. Fire number 3 for the series so far, or for this episode, not even the series. I think it's fire number 5 for the series. But Fiona as a sim, I did so dirty. I don't know why I made her so old and haggard and tired looking. Like all the other ones I made of her on Asylum, I thought she looked all right. She didn't really look like Jessica Lange, but she had the same kind of presence. And then for the next one on Freak Show, I think I did Jessica Lange the best. Like Elsa Mars looks the best out of all the Jessica Langes I created. This one, which I think is like mostly everyone's favorite Jessica Lange, I did so dirty. I don't know why I made her so old. I apologize to everyone that's going to download this and to Jessica Lange herself, because yikes. But after we show off her creatism, we're going to head back downstairs to the basement where it seems as though Thaisa Farminga, her character, what is her name? Zoe Benson is her name. Okay, so she, of course, plays the witch that kills people. Why is there an R in there? That kills people with her cooter. That's what I was trying to say. Don't know why she does that. Don't know why that's her magical power. I thought all of them having like, this is my main power. I kill people with my cooter. I'm a human voodoo doll. I thought that kind of thing was really dumb. When it came to her creatism, I have her kind of similar to the Murder House one, but I just kind of put her in better clothes, better makeup, stuff like that. I tried to make her a little bit cuter. Yeah. But yeah, Zoe's downstairs. She made everyone some macaroni and cheese in the big pot. Macaroni and cheese in the pot. I was going to reference WAP, but it's kind of hard to do without rapping it. I'm not going to embarrass myself. But she ends up heading back upstairs, and she runs into Misty Day in the kitchen. And I think that's also everyone's favorite character from that season. And it was really fun creating her in Creatism. I mainly put her, like, she has this wild hair, like, it hasn't been brushed in, like, months. I put her in a bunch of random kind of clothes that don't match, that she kind of just found. She was barefoot in a lot of the outfits. I really wanted it to look like she just crawled out of the woods with clothes that she has found along the way. And instead of making her, you know, all black, all fancy dressed like all the other witches, I wanted her to really stand out. Now, I get why everyone likes Misty. It makes sense, like she's so pure and nice and stuff like that. But I find her so annoying and like needy. Like the way she just like manipulates people around her to like keep them around. And like I get it. I understand her mindset, but I just found her character kind of annoying. And I didn't relate to it as much as I related to some of the other ones. I get why people like her, but I personally, she is not my favorite witch. Alright, so now we're going to focus on Nan a little bit. As she heads outside, she gets on her broom and flies over to the skating rink that's down the street. I have two things to say. One, why aren't brooms a part of Coven? Why do none of them fly? Why aren't they on brooms? I think they wanted to like avoid that cliche, but like it would have been lit. Like I would have loved to see like a Hocus Pocus scene where they're like on top of the brooms. You know, there's like a Sarah Jessica Parker witch that's like leaning over with her boobs out, like singing to the children, seducing them with their songs. I honestly would have enjoyed that. Where were the brooms at? What happened to those? Second, I hate Nan. I hate her so much. She is so annoying. Like, I love this girl's character in Murder House. I thought she was so sweet, and I really cared about the things she did and the choices she made. When it came to Nan, I wanted that bitch to die so early on. Like, her with that neighbor boy was so annoying and frustrating. Like, he clearly does not want you. He does not know you. Why are you bringing him into the plot? It makes no sense. I do not care about them. The only reason you have this storyline is to shove Liza Minnelli in my face, and I don't even want to see her. So Nan and her storylines really annoyed me. I loved when Fiona and Angela Bassett just murdered her in the tub. That was best part of the season. I hate Nan. All right, and then lastly, the last creative I have to really show off is Gabrielle Sidibe, of course. Her character, Queenie. She's down there enjoying that macaroni that was made before. And I really did like Queenie. Again, my main issue with her was, well, one, the flip-flopping between sides, which is understandable since it is kind of a race thing. But she was kind of annoying, not being part of the main crew all the time. It seemed like that was mainly just an excuse to not have her written on that episode. She's somewhere else today. And then also the whole like, I'm a human voodoo doll. I didn't mind the power itself. I just don't like her saying it and announcing it like she's a superhero. That kind of bugged me. I was like, I don't care about your superhero abilities. Just be a normal witch for a second, okay? but she couldn't ever do that. Her reappearance in Hotel was funny, just how stupid and pointless and weird it was. Like, why? It made no sense. Like, I have no clue why they did that. Like, it was kind of fun. I think they were just really into tying shit together in that season, but it was just like, why is she here? What's going on? It was kind of stupid, but it was fun, I guess. But that wraps up my video on American Horror Story Coven. Annoyingly, nothing crazy happened in this when it came to gameplay. Like, I wanted them to murder each other with magic, have magic duels, stuff like that. Didn't happen. It's really tame, probably the most tame episode of the series. It will get crazier in the next one for Freak Show, I promise you that, because I was really disappointed. This already isn't my favorite season, as I feel like they introduce a lot of stuff and then not finish it. Like, there's a lot of things, there's a lot of plot points that are brought up for no real reason. They don't conclude. Like, when it came to Murder House, I felt like everything went in a full circle and they wrapped it all up. When it came to Asylum, I thought the things they didn't wrap up all the way went with the plot. It was either like, oh, it's aliens, you're crazy, like that kind of thing. It just kind of messed up with like what you were thinking was going on, which was okay. It kind of felt like it went with the season. And then Coven comes along and they introduce all these weird plot elements. They don't finish any of them. There's just a lot of random stuff happening that just doesn't really go with the full story. So by the end of the season, I wasn't very satisfied. I get why people love the season. It is fun to watch, that's for sure. It's a really fun watch. But it's just not my favorite script, not my favorite plot. So when it came to the ranking, I would probably go with Murder House still being number 1, and then Asylum, and then Coven at the bottom. So it's kind of going in order from best to worst for me as of right now. But I do promise things do change within that ranking. And you can always download this slot and all 8 of the Sims on the Sims Gallery at Singleton RW. Maybe more crazier things will happen on your gameplay apart from a billion fires. Who knows? But of course, let me know all of that down below. If you do download it, I would love seeing what you guys do with my creations. And other than that, I will see you guys on Monday when we do American Horror Story Freak Show. Thank you guys for sticking through all of this. I'm sorry if you've already seen these videos and you're now having to rewatch them. Thankfully, I did kind of remake them, so it's a little bit more entertaining, but we're almost at the new stuff, so that's pretty good. I'll see you guys on Monday. I love all my beanie weenies. Leave me hate comments below. Bye.